Good morning, everyone. I'm Adrian Moore, Culture and Climate Coordinator with Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center. Welcome to our very first virtual family arts breakfast. Again, it is our distinct and esteemed pleasure to be here with you, and especially you. People are gathering from all across the DMV, all across the country and the world, gathering for a virtual family arts breakfast experience. LTYC is committed to keeping the arts in education. Arts and being an artist is a magical experience. When you're an artist, you use your imagination to create something out of nothing. It's amazing, and all it takes is your desire to create. And there are so many different ways that we all are gifted with in order to create something out of nothing. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Here's a mantra that we often share with our students, and it goes like this: I am great, so are you. That's why today we start anew. I have all that I need to be my best and succeed. I'm here to learn a lesson now. Parents and teachers will show me how to obey all the rules every day I come to school. You're great today. You're valuable, and you have a gift to give to the world. We're so excited today. There are going to be other panelists and other arts educators and professionals that are going to share some wonderful, wonderful things and experiences with you. Today's agenda is full of some exciting things. We're going to have some yoga and movement. We're going to have some arts techniques shared with you, and we're going to chat a little bit. How does that sound?
Good morning, everybody. Let me take my video off. Good morning. Thank you, Adrian Moore, for doing our welcome. We are so excited to be here with you this morning. My name is Dana Carr. I am the very proud Executive Director of Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center. And we are so excited to have you here this morning with us to celebrate family and to celebrate community. And most importantly, to celebrate our young people as they learn to express and heal and do so many amazing things through the arts. So we wanted to talk to you before we jump into our, as Adrian said, a very rich agenda for you this morning. Just talk to you a little bit about the organization. So at Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center, we are an arts-based arts education nonprofit organization. We are committed to promoting positive social development, academic development, and creativity. We have programs all across the state of Maryland and also in the District of Columbia. And we are all about just empowering our young people through the arts. We promote and encourage leadership, social and emotional learning, and really tapping into students' potential. And so this is just another way that we want to make sure that we are giving back to the communities that we serve, that we are being of some impact in the communities and the families that we serve. And so we are really, again, excited for you to join us this morning virtually for our Family Arts Breakfast. We have a lot in store and we're really excited. So thank you again. And I'm going to turn it back over to our host, Mr. Adrian Moore.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. That was our Executive Director, Mrs. Dana Carr. Right now, we're going to bring to you some movement activity and engagement by Miss Erin Stevenson, who's going to share some yoga and terrific movement engagement activities with you now.
My name is Erin Stevenson. I've been an instructor for LTYC for over 4 years, and I love this nonprofit. I'm so glad that you guys can join me today for this morning movement. A lot that we're going to be doing is more of breath work and light movement, so it won't be really heavy because it's early in the morning. We haven't started using our bodies yet, so we're going to do a lot of small, light breath and movement. The first thing you're going to want to do is have a nice space on the floor, large enough where you can expand your body. Let me show you. You want to have space on the sides as well as on the bottom, just enough where your arms can move freely. Once you have your space, we want to begin. Start with your body flat on the floor. Arms are gently by your side, wherever it's most comfortable. It feels comfortable like this for me, so I'm going to put my arms here on the side. And you're just going to sit very still and take a few calming breaths right in the diaphragm area of your stomach. Being mindful that your shoulders are neutral and that you're really using your stomach to breathe. Take a few more breaths. Next, what you're going to do is raise up your leg, both legs. They should be comfortably shoulder width apart at a nice 45-degree angle. Just checking. Okay. Keeping your hands wherever they are and wherever they feel comfortable. And you're going to take some more breaths in this new position. Being sure to keep the breath low in the body, in your belly. Now what you're going to do is raise your right leg from the knee. So your knee is engaging the lift as well as your hip socket. You just want to gently raise it up and put it down. Let's do the other side. Engaging from the hip socket, raise it up and put it down. Let's go back to the right side, raise it up and put it down. Left side again, raise it up and put it down. Remember, we are being mindful of being gentle and keeping our breath low. Next, we're going to incorporate our hands. Put them out to the sides of you like this. Bend your elbows and bring your hands in, almost like you're holding a small ball to your chest. Then turn your elbows into your body so that your fingers are over your eyes. Engaging from the shoulder sockets, you're going to put your arm down, engage from the elbow, and bring it back up. Let me show you on this side. Engaging from the shoulder sockets, you're going to put your arm down, engage from the elbow, bring it back up. Let's do that 2 more times for each arm. Making sure to gently breathe in the stomach. Now let's return to that ball holding position and then gently unloosen the arms, returning them to the T position that we started. Straighten your legs out to the side of you. And what you're going to do now is begin to rock your body, only using the action coming from your feet. The goal is to be as loose in the body as possible so that eventually your head will start to move without any initiation from the neck. All of this movement is coming from the feet. I'm just moving my heels and my body is following. When you're ready, you can go ahead and slow down the movement. Next, take your legs out a little bit further on each side of you. Keep your hands at the T position. And we're going to start stretching our back by bringing our arm across our body and touching the other hand. And coming back, dragging the hand along the way it came. Now the rest of your body will move, but it's not the goal for the body to move. It's about using the hand that moves the body. And then the hand brings the body back. So when I do this again, I'm walking my hand across, and you may see that my leg is moving, but I'm not moving it. My leg is responding to my arm. Let's do it one more time. My leg is relaxed and is responding to my arm. Now let's go to the legs. Gently bend your right knee. Move it across and point it past your other leg. Engage from the hip. Bring the leg back to its starting position. Let's go to the left leg. Gently bend. Bring it over. Stretch. Engage from the hip. Bring it back. Starting position. Let's do each leg one more time. Gently bending, crossing over, stretching it out, and bringing it back. Gently bending, bringing it over, stretching it out, hip socket to bring it back. Now, we're going to do both our arm and our leg. First, we'll use our right leg and our left hand. Gently bring your left hand over. Stretch it out and bring it back. Gently bring your right hand over. Stretch it out and bring it back. So my bottom legs are just engaging in the direction that they're already going. Let's do that one more time. Gently bring your hand over and bring it back. Other side. Gently bring it over and take it back. All right. We're going to come and bring our legs together. Gently raise up. Next, have your legs straight out in front of you. A nice straight back. You don't want to slouch over, but you want to have your back engaged as possible. And you're just going to lightly fold over. There's no stretch here at all. I'm just folding over and letting my head be my weight. So we're not stretching, but we're just hanging over. While you're in this position, make sure that you are breathing in the belly and just let gravity take over and try to relax. We're going to take a deep breath in and try and relax further into the position. So you'll take a deep breath in and then try and relax further. All right, coming back up to the starting position. Back is nice and straight. Make sure you're not hunched over. We're going to go ahead and sit our legs in a frog position, nice and gentle. Take your hands behind you and engage your back. Make sure you're not hunched over, but that your back is engaged. And we're just relaxed in this position. I'm not forcing it, but I'm relaxed in it. Taking my breaths. Next, go ahead and cross your right leg over your left in a nice pretzel. And we're going to do the same leaning forward, relax. This is not about stretching, but it's just about relaxing into it. So go ahead and bend forward using your head weight to be pulled by the gravity. Coming up slowly. We're going to do it again, but this time when you take a breath in and release, try and let your head be heavier. Breath in, release, let the head be heavier. Coming up. Switch legs. So your left leg is now in front, and we're going to do the same thing again. Letting the head release into the position. Breath in, release, let the head get heavier. And come up. Great. So the next thing we're going to do is take our leg, take your left leg, bring that foot close to the sit bone, your right sit bone, and bring your right leg over and gentle. Now, if this is too much, you can bring this leg right here closer or below the knee. But you're going to take this position, making sure to sit up straight in the back. Here, let me turn around. Making sure your back is nice and straight, you're up tall and not slouched. Take your left hand and put it over your right leg. And just breathe in this position. Releasing that gently. Let's switch to the other side. You're going to take your left leg, bring your right heel close to your left sit bone. Bring your left leg over. Right hand crosses the left leg, sitting up straight in the back. And turn. And gently relax into this position. Excellent. Let's come out of this. Next, we're going to get into a tabletop. Your legs should be shoulder width apart. Your hands are going to go right below your shoulders. Legs and hands are shoulder width apart. And we're going to be working out our back in cat and cow. Arch your back up. And release. Bringing your shoulders and head down. Coming back up. And release down. Find your neutral position, and now we're going to do some swirls. Gently swirling the body in a circular position. Taking it the other way. Nice. Let's come to this position. Gotta fix my. Find yourself in a nice straddle. It doesn't need to be wide at all. In the same concept as before, we're just going to let our head be our weight. This is not about stretching, but it's about relaxing into the position. So let your head fall. Also let your arms be loose and heavy. You don't need to have them stretched out like this at all or anywhere. Just let them be loose and let your head be the weight. You're going to take a deep breath in and then exhale, letting your head be a little more heavier. Breath in, exhale, and let that head become heavier. And coming up. All right, let's return to pretzel in the most comfortable position. We're going to move to our head now. Have your hands resting on your legs, or they can rest in the middle. And we're just going to do some gentle turns from right to left. Nice and gentle, right to left. One more time. Now we're going to tilt our head from right to left. Nice and gentle, right to left. Now we're going to go up and down. Nice and gentle. We're going to do some circles around. Nice and gentle to the right. And then take it to the left. Find your head in a neutral position. Then we're going to get a little bit of a deeper stretch for our neck. I want you to tilt your head to the right. And we're stretching out this side of the neck right here. So we're just going to let it hang, relax. Don't force it, just let the weight of the head stretch out the neck. If you want a deeper stretch in this position, you can take your left hand and stretch it out to the side of you. Bringing it up. Let's do the other side. Letting the head be the weight. And for a deeper stretch, take that right hand and go ahead and stretch it out on this side. And coming back. We're going to do the same thing, but this time letting our head bend forward. If you want a deeper stretch for this, you can take your hand and lightly place it on your head for a deeper neck stretch. And release. We're going to go to our shoulders now. All right. Gently raise your shoulders and tighten them up as tight as possible. And on the exhale, release. Tighten your shoulders up. And on the exhale, release. Let's take these shoulder rolls forward and back, forward and back. 2 more times. Now we're going to take them back and forward, back and forward. 2 more times. Now take your left hand and bring it across. Hold it with your right hand. Release. Take your right hand, bring it across. Hold it with your left. And release. Take your left hand, put it behind you. Hold it with your right. Release. Right hand behind. And release. And thank you so much for everyone for doing this light movement breath work with me this morning. I hope you enjoy the rest of this breakfast with LTYC. I hope your body feels great and awake. And thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome, awesome. Everyone, can we give Miss Erin Stevenson a virtual applause? I know all the hundreds and thousands of you are applauding her right now. Thank you, Erin. Thank you. That was awesome. I feel limber. Don't you feel limber? You get your groove on now. That was great. Now, Miss Erin Stevenson is our arts and culture coordinator, and she's at the Cardozo Education Campus in Washington, D.C. Again, thank you, Erin. Thank you, Erin Stevenson, for such a wonderful, wonderful job. And audience members, I need to remind you that you can put up questions. You can list or post, rather, your questions in the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen. At any point in time, if you have questions during this presentation, you can post your questions down at the bottom of your screen. And now, next on our agenda, we have the awesome Miss Sara Ross. Sara Ross is our education associate for LTYC, and she's awesome. She's an awesome graphic artist with a lot of original artistic expressions, and she's going to give us a live art demonstration in hopes that you'll be able to pick up some new skills to add to your artistic expression. Take it away, Sara.
And right before, I'm sorry, we give the mic over to Sara, we have a poll for all of our folks who are here. Again, we were laughing yesterday in that this is still a breakfast. Some of us may be partaking in our favorite breakfast food. So we wanted to just do a quick poll to see what everybody's favorite breakfast is. And even though we are not able to be with one another in person, to kind of get an idea of what people may be munching on. So we just did a poll with all of our attendees on what their favorite breakfast food is. And you can see it looks like we have some pancake and waffle folks here with us today. So I'm all about those pancakes and waffles. So thank you. And now we will turn it over to Miss Sara Ross.
Hey there. What about chicken and waffles? That wasn't on the list. That's my personal favorite. So I'm here with you today to talk about watercolor. And what I'm going to do first is share with you a few supplies that I'm using today so that we all can feel successful with this art activity. I have a Japanese set of Kiritake watercolor. If you have colored pencil, if you're working with crayons, whatever you're using today, get them out. We're going to create a beautiful landscape. And I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks that you can use with watercolor. Something interesting about watercolor, a lot of art therapists actually use this. So stemming off of Erin's fantastic session with movement, this is going to make us feel even more relaxed. So the first thing I'm going to share is my paper today is a thick paper. I like to use cold press or reuse BFK, but if you have a printer paper, whatever you have available, we're going to make sure that we have that with us today. This is going to be a sample sheet, so you might want 2 pieces of paper, a smaller one so that we can try out different types of watercolor tricks, and then a larger paper for making our final artwork. And before I begin, I cannot forget this amazing smock made by LTYC saying, art is life, and isn't that true? Art is what's gonna make us feel light when the world is heavy. So what I'm gonna say is, now that I have my smock, you can get some gear of your own at LTYC.com. And if anything, I want you to make sure that you are prepared. All right, so let's make sure we have our station set up. I'm gonna flip my screen so you can see what's going on. And the first thing I'm gonna do today is a series of watercolor tricks. So as I adjust my camera here, get your water out. The brush I'm gonna be using today is actually a Reeves nylon hairbrush. You wanna make sure that your brush has a nice little point, isn't too thin or too thick. It's sort of this medium-sized brush here. This is a size 14 in brush sizes. And then something else that'll be handy dandy is going to be a washcloth or some type of paper towel so we can dab some ink or water out of our brush as needed. So the first watercolor trick today we're going to talk about is the flat wash. You could say it with me. Say flat wash, flat wash. So the first thing about the flat wash is it's all about having that even amount of water to paint. So I want you to pick your favorite color. I want to know what your favorite color is. My favorite color is red. And what I want you to do is I want you to take your watercolor, your crayon, your colored pencil, whatever it is, and I want you to make sure that you load up your brush or your utensil, and then you have just a dot of water, and then you're going to create a square or a circle. And you're going to color that in. Now, the goal to getting a flat wash is having an even shade throughout the entire square. So no parts of the square look lighter or darker. It's all one shade. And that's our flat wash technique. Not too much water, not too much paint, but just the right amount. I call that the Goldilocks technique. All right, the next different trick that we're moving on to is called wet on wet. Now, this is my favorite technique. It's almost like a tie-dye technique. What I'm going to do is I actually am going to create a little puddle of water right on my paper here, a little puddle, as you can see that shine, right? Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to add the color on top of my puddle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a new color. I'm going to pick green. Got some holiday vibes happening here. I'm going to put the green on the paper. Whoa, and you can see it expand. Okay? So I'm blotting it with my brush. So gentle. I can even shift or move my paper around. You see that slow movement, right? And then I'm going to let it rest. The ink is still expanding and it's seeping into the pores of the paper. It's a very gradual movement. And as it dries, look at the effect. You see this has this beautiful, almost translucent effect. It's really beautiful. The next technique is going to have a darker effect. As you can see here, there's a scratchy texture. And how I was able to achieve this really dark, intense, bold tone is by taking out all the water from my brush. So I'm going to take my paper towel, I'm going to take my cloth, and I'm going to make sure that I take out all the water from my brush. So now I'm going to go back into color, and look what's going to happen. I'm going to use red again. you're going to see this really intense, bold stroke. You see how it's scratched a little bit? See, this is the effect that you want in a dry brush. You want to make sure that you see the texture of that brush come through. And as you can see that this shade is so intense. That's the vibe that you want here with the dry brush technique. You want it to be really bold and intense. The last two tricks today that I'm sharing with you, one is fading out. Self-explanatory, right? And as you can see on the fading out, I'm going to put this closer to the camera so that we all can see it. You see the color slowly fading from dark to light or light to dark. So in this case, I've chosen a color. I'm going to go with purple, purple for the Ravens. I know we're all missing sports right now. And then for this part, I'm going to make sure that I load up my brush with ink, and then look what's going to happen. I'm going to go to my cloth, take some ink out, take some water out, and I'm going to pull. You see what I'm doing? I'm pulling from that darker tone and I'm making it lighter. And the more I drag it out, the lighter it's going to get. And this is called fading out. Now, this last trick, the kids will love it. You definitely want to monitor it because we don't want this getting all kinds of crazy. This is a relaxing art session. We're going to be doing something called spray color. And I'm showing this under the camera right now. You get these beautiful dotted, textured areas with spray color. So the first thing that I'm going to do is with spray color, I will load up my brush with ink. I will take a dot of water, so just a tiny, tiny, tiny dip. And then what I'm going to do is hold my brush with my thumb and my pointer finger, and I'm going to take one finger, lifting it up, and you'll get a reaction down. You see that reaction? And it creates this beautiful effect. I'm not getting anything in my eye. It's going in one direction. This will become a beautiful texture that we can add on top of our landscape today. So the first thing I'm going to say, after you tested out all of these tricks and tips, I want you to get your paper set up in a horizontal position. So if you can look at my station, I have added some tape around my paper. And this is because I want my paper to stay stable. And I want to make sure that I have a clean edge at the end of my artwork. So if you can look and see how I've set up my station, if you're scrambling right now saying, hey, I didn't know I need tape, no worries. See if you can find a paperweight, or you can see, look, my water cup is holding it down. Anything to keep your paper stable will be awesome. And the first thing that we're going to do today in creating our landscape is this. We're going to be thinking about what colors we want to see. What are going to be some of the shades? What are going to be some of the things or places that we think about that make us feel relaxed? And I thought to myself, I think mountains and trees, rivers and valleys, and a beautiful sunset. This is the landscape that makes me feel the most calm. So maybe during Erin's session, you transported yourself to this place of comfort. Because we're inside, I thought that it would be a really nice idea to envision some of our favorite environments. So if your environment doesn't look like this, I encourage you to do something different, or maybe make some mountains or grass or water in a new sort of way so you don't feel like it's the same thing. And if you like this composition, awesome. We're going to be doing something very similar to this today. And the first thing we're going to do is start off with the bottom layer. So anytime I start, make sure your watercolors are handy, everybody. Take a sip of your breakfast drink, a bite of your waffle, and we're going to dive right in. Okay? So for this, the first step I'm going to do is taking my brush, not too medium, not too thin, but kind of just right. I'm going to grab a green. And the cool thing about green Depending on the kind of green you want to use, it could have more yellow in it. You can make it a lime green. What I'm going to do though is one of my favorite tricks. It's called the wet on wet. Ooh, I got some green in my brush already, but look how light it is. I kind of just want to gather some water on my paper, and I'm going to spread it on the bottom. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm adding the water to the paper first before I add the ink. And as I add the ink, look what's going to happen. It's going to slowly expand. And since we are doing the bottom first, we're going to create a sense of atmospheric perspective. Big art word, atmospheric perspective. This really just means that we are going to think about color and tone as we move into the distance, as we approach the middle of the paper, or what artists call the horizon line. We're going to make it seem like we're creating a deeper space. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is on the very bottom, I'm going to gather as much green by overlapping. Now, you don't want your paper to be too wet. Depending on the thickness of your paper, it might break. You want to make sure that your paper stays strong in this process. And the whole reason that my bottom area is darker is because it's closest to us. And the items that are closest to us in the landscape are clearer, bolder, and more detailed. So that's why I have these dark, dark tones. Okay? And as I approach the middle of my paper, as I climb the paper, you'll see that it slowly gets lighter and lighter. And what I'm doing right now is I'm creating layers in my landscape. Creating layers, I'm pulling some of the darker tones from the corner of my paper and I'm lifting them upwards, okay? So it should look like this fading out trick that we did in the very beginning. We have the darker tones that are slowly fading and moving as they get higher and higher and higher, okay? So if anything, what I'm going to try to do now is add my second layer, which is going to be water. And before I do that, I think what I'm going to do is making sure that this layer is distinct. I might have a darker tone that I stick here just to create some sort of division between one step and another. Okay? And it doesn't have to be even. In nature, you see a lot of different shapes happening. And, you know, I think a lot of people think, oh my goodness, everything needs to be clean and perfect. But I love embracing mistakes. I love creating unexpected marks. So let's make this really relaxing for us and just embrace everything that we think we don't like. And eventually this watercolor will dry and we'll turn it into something that we love. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is pulling some of that ink from the side here, getting really nice dry brush. Look at that. You see that dry brush? I'm sort of like getting all the ink out of my paper, but it's creating this really beautiful texture in the process of doing that. So the next thing I'm going to do is as I crawl up my page, I'm going to add some water. So let's get into our blues. Let's play around with blue for a second. And what I'm going to do, different than my last technique, I'm actually going to use dark blue. I want you to skate. Pretend like you're ice skating. Pretend like the tip of your brush is a blade just gliding along the ice. Just gliding along the ice. And the reason I'm saying that is because you want to create some variation and texture. And it's okay if I overlap some of my green. I might make a little bit of a turquoise here. But what's going to happen is I'm going to be using these deep blues. And look what I have, very slow curves, moving up and down. I might have more blue gathering on the side here, trickling down, trickling down. And if you have music on in the background, sometimes it's really, really nice to have some background noise or no noise at all. We're doing this and we're all being really relaxed and peaceful. I love this part of my class. My students get so quiet when they use the paint. So any parents that are like, oh, what's the secret? How do I get them just to, you know, unwind for a second? Bring out those watercolors. Let me tell you, it's mesmerizing. So what I'm going to do here is I have these really dark slopes. Always make those darker slopes around the edges, okay? And some of that texture might trickle into my foreground. That's the area closest to us, which is at the bottom of our paper. That's my foreground. Okay, so now I have these really deep tones. I'm just pushing the extra ink out of my brush back and forth. And maybe I have some vertical movement happening. We're going to add more of that a little bit later. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually even out this horizon line by adding some light tones. I'm going to add some greenery. And someone asked, am I using the same brush? Yes, I am. I'm using the same brush. This medium tone brush is amazing because it has a point at the top. It has a thicker part at the bottom. So it really gets the best of both worlds. You get detail and you get expansion. And if you notice, as we move up the page, things looking a little bit too bold or light, look what I'm doing. I'm actually picking up the ink with a paper towel because I want this area to get a little more dull. And now I'm at my favorite point of all, which is the mountain. And I'm going to do a purple mountain today. So for my purple mountain, just like our landscape here, you want to make sure that the front mountain is the boldest mountain. And what I have here is just like a slow peak. And what I have at the bottom is this little part, this corner. And I'm dragging that paint, the intensity. I'm dragging the intensity and I'm actually extending it. There's an East Asian trick in watercolor and it's called sumie painting, where the artist finds a balance between the white paper and the color that they're using. So whenever I'm painting, I like to think about the exposure of white that I have left behind my paper and how that's just as important as color. So if you see a little pop of white somewhere, embrace that because that's your highlight. That's this area that is really creating that contrast between light and dark. So embrace that little bit of lightness, okay? So for this next part of the mountain, I'm gonna use purple again, and I'm gonna go to this side of the paper. Similar vibe. It might be a little bit lighter because it's behind my first mountain. Might be a little tiny bit lighter. Okay, so in this case, we have some really light tones that we're working with. And if you want to get this a little more exciting, you want to add a little blue to your mountain. Blue and purple make this really cool color called periwinkle. So you'll actually be creating this color called periwinkle, and you can spread that throughout the paper. And I've been using one brush this entire time. If you feel like this is an area where you might want to add more detail, feel free to pick up a smaller size brush. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'll pop a mountain right in between. This mountain should barely have any ink. This should be the leftover ink inside of your brush. Okay, now the last part is going to be my sky. And if you're the kind of person who loves the sunset, you might want to put some warmer tones into your sky, making sure that you got some green on the bottom here. All right, so for the sky, I'm actually going to have some deep oranges, some yellow, and some red. And I like working light to dark, so look what I'm going to do. I have got a little green in there, water it out. I'm going to get some yellow. And look how deep and dark that yellow is. I don't like how that is so intense. We want this sky to just be this very light area. So I'm pulling some water out instead of going back to the ink. And I'm just extending that yellow shade as best as I can. I'm extending it and I'm pushing that yellow all across my beautiful sky. So now what I'm going to do here is to make it intense. I'm going to add some orange, a little bit of water, tiny bit of water. And I'm actually going to have some darker shades of orange creep into the yellow. But you see, look how gradual that change is. It's actually called a gradation, the slow shift between light to dark or dark to light. So you look at this gradation, it doesn't have a sharp switch from light to dark. It's a slow shift. So that's really the idea that you want to achieve, is that slow shift from light to dark. And I'm going to do this in my other corner as well. And look how intense my orange is. It's okay if it gets a little intense, but look what I'm going to do to even that out. I'm going to get water, wipe it out a little bit, not too much water, and I'm going to slowly move the edges of those intense shades. Let me make sure I get a really good picture of this corner. Look at that beautiful orange transitioning into the yellow. And yellow and purple are actually complementary colors on the color wheel. So in color theory, these are two colors that have the most difference visually, as far as when we look at a color and we see something called contrast, which is that visual difference. And in this case, the yellow next to the purple is really making our eye pop. Okay, so now this is my favorite part. I'm actually going to go back into my design and I'm going to use my watercolor, and I'm going to use more watercolor than I do actual water in my brush. I want intense. So what I have is less water, more color. Why am I doing this? Because ultimately I want to create these really sharp areas of dark. Because our watercolor has had time to dry, you'll notice as it dries, it gets so much lighter. So to get those areas you see nice and intense, go back into it. Add some greenery. Add some grass. And for the finale of today, we're going to be putting in a tree. So this is going to be sort of like the cherry on the sundae. We're going to be putting a tree. Now for the tree, if it's closest to us, it's the boldest part of the design. So what I'm going to do is actually add black. This could be a dark purple. This could be a really dark navy for you. But I'm going to add some black. And look what I'm going to do here, because I know trees can be a little tricky for people, but I'm going to make this really simple. I'm actually going to start at the bottom corner with just the tip of my brush. Remember, we're skating here, okay? Just the tip. I have so much ink. Look at, it's not even expanding. And I'm going to actually create the trunk and this movement, this slow curve. Look, you see how wide it is at the bottom? It doesn't have to be extremely wide. It could be like a small little tree. Look what I'm going to do here. I'm actually going to fill it in. Okay? Fill in this tree. And look, I'm going to create a little V. Look at this little V in the center. And this V, look what's going to happen, is going to get tinier. You see how thick this is? Look, I'm barely touching my paper as my tree gets taller. That's sort of the trick. You just want to kind of glide along your paper. Just glide. And your tree will get taller and taller and taller. Something I like to do too at the end is sometimes I'll add pen just to get really intense marks at the very end here. Or if you want to add some like lush greenery, if you have any oil pastel, crayons or colored pencils, once this dries, make sure it dries because you don't want to make a hole. You want to put that on there, you totally can. It looks beautiful in the end if you have other materials, sometimes added to the mix. Okay, now because this isn't as dark as I want it to be, it's drying up already, I'm going to go back in with the black once more. Maybe adding some roots to the bottom. And then next to those roots, I'm going to be putting up some beautiful shades of grass.
So get those darker tones, use more ink than color. And get some shades and blades of grass. Get some darker tones for that foreground. That's the area that's closest to us. Therefore, it should be the most intense. Maybe I want some really intense lines coming up out of this dark, dark corner, out of this brush. As you can see here, we're creating this amazing area of light to dark and dark to light. Have some really expressive marks. If I want to go back into my mountain, I totally can. And remember, if you have a little dot of darkness, stretch it out. Stretch it out as best you can. Okay? I'm just going to add a little bit of intensity to that little back mountain. And now what I'm going to do is, if I like what I have, I'm going to let it dry. And the last part of it is probably the most exciting. It's pulling of the tape. So look what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to be pulling. Oh, and look at this. It has little marks. And it's okay if it seeps into it like that. It almost has, I don't know, some more personality by having little marks like that. Oh my goodness. This is so satisfying. This is like the best feeling ever. Just pulling that tape off. Oh, someone asked me, am I related to Bob Ross? This was a joke I had with my students. I so badly wish he was like a great uncle or something, but unfortunately I'm not. It is a joke that I do like to share with people who ask. So in this case, I have my tape. Look at this. Oh my goodness, here it comes. Oh, look at that tape. We say bye tape. See you later. And then voila, we have a beautiful little landscape. And of course, you know, it's dry right now, but you can always add to it. This is the one I added to later on. I put some pen in and I had some detail that I stuck at the bottom. I had a little black acrylic. So you can really make this more detailed. You can go back in with a colored pencil. If you were using colored pencil all along, you're applying the same pressure techniques. You're using a variation of light to dark. You're using the fading out pressure that's lighter, that gradually gets darker. So no matter what you use today, just be proud of yourself and look what you can do for the finale. You can even add some spray color. Remember that trick we did in the beginning? If you want to add some mist, almost like a hazy sunset sky, you could add or flick some paint at the very end, which I'll demonstrate for you one last time. This is going to be the fireworks, the finale of the art session, okay? And I'm going to make sure that I have a lot of paint in my brush with just a little bit of water. Here's the fireworks. Oh my goodness. And we added that little blast of texture at the end. I cannot wait for everybody in this class to share their paintings. This one's my dry one, so I'm holding it up right now. If you can, take a picture of it. You want to see what you've done. Maybe your landscape can uplift your community, and you know, sharing it is one of my favorite parts of even making it, because you can make someone else smile. If you do post a picture of it, make sure you do the hashtag or tag LTYC Arts, and we'll take a picture of it and share it with our community. So make sure that you do that, and let me tell you, it's been a pleasure to have everybody here making art on this wonderful Saturday morning. So I'm going to turn it back to one of our panelists, and I want to say, have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sara. Thank you, Sara Ross, our education associate. That was a magnificent, magnificent art demonstration. I have to say, the dimensions of that picture made me feel like I wanted to walk in that place. I want to go to that place. I just want to walk through all of that area and go to those mountains. That was awesome. Thank you again, Sara Ross. And so now we have another question poll. And our question now is, what color do you feel like today? What color do you feel like today? You can just go right to the bottom of your screen and you can pick one of those and answer those. What color do you feel like today? Down, 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 down. All right. Wow. We have 100% of the audience picked yellow. Wow. Everybody feels yellow. Yellow is springy. Yellow is bright. Yellow is cheerful, awake, conscious. I love it. I love it. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Awesome. Awesome. Hope you guys are having a great, great time. Again, thank you, Sara. That was amazing. So far we've had Erin Stevenson, our arts and culture coordinator, giving us an awesome yoga demonstration. And now we've had Sara Ross, our education associate, giving us a tremendous live art demonstration. This has been great. So our mission and our vision here at LTYC, you can see that on the screen. And next is our gift card giveaway. Who likes to win stuff and get stuff? Awesome. Well, we're going to hear from our director. I'm sorry, not our director. We're going to hear from another team member. I believe, Brianna, we're going to hear from you regarding this.
Hi, everyone. Let's see. Hello.
Hello.
So we have a few people that have joined us today. We've randomly selected our winner here, and it's going to be the attendee that's going by the name of Me. Well, you can't see your name here, but if you would like to receive your gift card that you won, please message the panelists with your contact information. And we thank you very, very much for joining us and for being vocal in the chat and hanging out.
So much, Brianna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there's our executive director, Carr. Let's give her a virtual applause.
Woo! Hi, everybody. Good morning again. I was getting ready to say afternoon, but not quite. So we are, as we wrap up here, just have a few announcements and things that we wanted to share with you. One of those things being Giving Tuesday. So in light of all of the different things that are going on in our world today, and for the last couple of months, Giving Tuesday, which traditionally takes place, I believe, in November, is now going to be on this coming Tuesday, May 5th, also Cinco de Mayo. And so LTYC is celebrating in a major, major way. We are partnering with Do More 24, and we will be raising funds for the organization. We are raising money to be able to deliver summer programming and even moving into the school year through virtual arts learning. And so again, we always want to be responsive to what's happening in our world, and we want to make sure that we are able to still serve students and communities through the arts and just again transitioning into virtual arts learning. So Do More 24, you can see the link here on your screen to give. We will also put the link in the chat for you to be able to just copy and paste, and no donation is too small. You know, every donation helps the organization, helps the students, again, that we are serving in the state of Maryland and DC. So we really appreciate any support that you can give to the organization. I am really happy to also announce that this summer, we will be launching another effort and initiative that we've been working really hard on, which is LTYC Learn. And LTYC Learn is all about professional development for teachers, and it is all about online learning for students. And so as a part of our launch of LTYC Learn, we will hold a virtual arts summer camp in July of 2020. And we are super excited about, again, students being able to connect with each other and with teachers and teaching artists through the arts in an online community and space. And so we'll be releasing some more information about that, but you heard it here first. LTYC Learn and our virtual arts summer camp is set to debut in July. Few more announcements. Sara mentioned, and I think you can probably see, you can see my screen that I'm wearing LTYC gear, and all of us are today. And so wanted to make sure that you know where you can get some LTYC gear and swag for yourself and for your families. So LTYC Shop. And the website is there, ltycshop.net. We have a host of items such as the smock that Sara was wearing, t-shirts, hats, things for the kids, water bottles, just a really nice array of LTYC merchandise, and then things for artists and educators and artists, arts educators and activists. So please, please, please visit LTYC Shop. Every purchase that you make goes directly back into our programs to support scholarships and supplies and field trips and just doing things again for our children, and to really pour back into those programs. Also wanted to mention our radio show that we have monthly now, because this is, of course, a family event, and this show really focuses on the legacy of the Black family. And that show is the Show About Tomorrow, and we air it on Facebook Live. Of course, with everything that's been going on, we've had to kind of halt production, but we will be coming back stronger and better than ever. So please make sure, if you're not already following us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and that you've signed up for our newsletter, you'll get all of these updates and information via those different avenues. I want to take a moment here to do another poll with our attendees before we part ways. Again, this has been a challenging time for all. This is a new way of life, right? A new way of connecting. We're so glad that you chose to be here with us this morning and to connect with us in this way. So we're just going to do one last poll, which is about, we're all in quarantine. Any popular quarantine activities that you have tried while being at home, and there are lists of different choices there. So anything that you've done while being stuck at home, partying, baking. We talked about making art this morning. So great, I see some folks have responded, and so here we go. And take a look at what other people are doing. So I'm so glad to hear and see that folks are making art and reconnecting with friends. Connection is what it's all about. Relationships is what life is all about. So we're really, again, very grateful to have you here this afternoon, or this morning, rather. Adrian, do you want to close us out and just talk about some of these resources and ways that folks can get in contact with us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dana, our Executive Director, Ms. Dana Carr. Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us and being with us today. And we have some links here that we want to share with you, where you can contact us, stay in contact, and stay connected to us. You can reach us at www.info@ltyc.net, info@ltyc.net, or Facebook at LTYC Arts. Again, Facebook at LTYC Arts, Instagram at LTYC Arts, and Twitter at LTYC Arts. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana. Do you have anything else that you wanted to share before we sign off?
I just want to, again, thank everyone so much for coming out and spending, again, your morning with us. We hope that this could lift your spirits and bring your family together and your community together. I want to shout out the rest of my team here who has done an amazing job in putting this together. Of course, our vision initially was to be able to do this in person, but we wanted to still, again, have some connectivity even without being in the same space with one another. So, shout out to Brianna Parker, who was really spearheading our breakfast this morning and managing, coordinating all of that. Mr. Adrian Moore for hosting, and of course our amazing artists, both Erin and Sara. Just really grateful for the both of them to share their gifts. And last but not least, I can't forget our executive administrator of LTYC, Miss Lauren Blackwell, who is always behind the scenes, making all of our programming and things that we do come together. So just really grateful for the team and grateful for all of the families out there who joined us this morning. So thank you so much. And please, stay in touch. We want to do more things like this, again, to just speak to our community. All right, so thank you, everyone. Adrian, did you have anything you want to say, or are we closing out here?
Mute.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It's been a tremendous blast. And thank you, Dana, for leading the charge.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day.